city was waking up. Manhattan streets bustled as another day began. But by 6:45 a.m., the pulse of the city froze. A gunshot echoed through West 54th Street. Then another chaos erupted. The victim, Brian Thompson, CEO of UnitedHealthcare, a man whose empire controlled billions. A man whose power shaped lives and deaths.
Which directly influences how we develop innovative. Behind me, you can see data from our call center operation.
But this wasn't just a murder. It was a statement written in blood. December 4th, 2024. The morning chill lingered as Brian Thompson walked toward his corporate tower. He'd done this walk countless times, untouchable, secure. But today the shadows held something deadly. Luigi Mangione, a 26-year-old man in a hooded jacket, emerged from the alley. He trailed Thompson, steps silent, eyes locked. And then it happened. Mangione raised a 9mm handgun. He didn't hesitate. He didn't speak. 2 shots rang out. Precision, finality. By the time Thompson hit the pavement, Mangione was already fading into the early morning mist. Vanished, but unforgettable. For the next few hours, panic gripped Midtown Manhattan. Witnesses were shaken. Social media exploded.
The CEO of Minnetonka-based UnitedHealthcare has been shot and killed.
Well, now to the apparent murder of UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson in New York City.
As police sources tell ABC News, UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson is dead.
Speculation spread like wildfire. Who was the shooter? Was it random or was it calculated? Police swarmed the scene, sealing off the area and scouring surveillance footage for answers. It didn't take long to identify the man in the hooded jacket. Luigi Mangione wasn't a stranger to the system. He came from privilege, a child of wealth, who attended elite schools and earned a master's degree in computer and information science. But beneath the surface, Mangione was unraveling. He had been a star student at the University of Pennsylvania, praised for his brilliance and moral debates. But former classmates noticed his shift. Social media posts hinted at his dissent. Rants about corporate greed, CEOs as kings, and cryptic warnings. The guillotines are coming. He wasn't just angry. He was calculating. By the time investigators pieced together Mangione's movements, his plan became clear. He hadn't fled in a panic. Witnesses described him as eerily calm, pedaling away on a bicycle. It was deliberate, controlled. What police uncovered next stunned even seasoned detectives. Mangione had left behind evidence: a silencer, bullet casings, and a handwritten manifesto. It wasn't just anger, it was a vendetta. Within days, Mangione was arrested in Pennsylvania, carrying a fake ID, the murder weapon, and detailed plans. But why? Why would someone from wealth and privilege take such a path? Mangione's manifesto painted him as a man on a mission. To Mangione, Thompson wasn't just a man. He was a symbol of greed, corruption, and suffering. A figurehead of an industry that profited from illness and despair. Mangione didn't see murder as a crime. He saw it as revolution. Investigators later uncovered Mangione's digital footprint. Searches about assassinations, political revolutions, and criminal cover-ups dominated his browser history. His journals revealed something even darker. Detailed sketches of potential attacks, including escape routes and disguises. He had been planning this for months, maybe years. The nation was split. Some viewed Mangione as a folk hero, a vigilante who struck at greed. Others saw him as a monster, a coward who executed an unarmed man. Crowdfunding campaigns raised thousands for his defense. Social media hashtags called for his freedom.
This Ivy League hottie named Luigi is the Robin Hood that we never knew that we needed.
Honestly, it's beautiful, and I agree with him.
But as debates raged, the question lingered. Was this justice or madness? The prosecutors had no doubts. They painted Mangione as cold, calculated, and unrepentant. They said it was premeditated murder, a meticulous plan executed without mercy. But the defense told a different story. They described a man pushed to the edge, a desperate soul who saw no other way to challenge a broken system. The trial wasn't just about facts, it was about ideas. Justice versus rebellion, order versus chaos. Each argument pulled the public further apart. Experts weighed in. Psychologists suggested Mangione suffered from delusions, obsessed with bringing down a system he viewed as corrupt. Political theorists argued that the case was symbolic of growing anger toward unchecked corporate power. Sociologists warned it could inspire copycats, people who saw violence as the only way to fight injustice. But the defense leaned into the narrative of morality. They argued Mangione was driven by desperation, not hatred, that his actions, while tragic, were rooted in a desire for justice. They questioned whether a system that allows millions to suffer under corporate greed deserved sympathy. Testimonies from those who knew Mangione painted a mixed picture. Former teachers described him as passionate but intense,
he was one of the nicest kids.
often pushing debates to uncomfortable places. Neighbors remembered him as polite but distant, someone who kept to himself, his blinds always drawn. The courtroom became a spectacle. Protesters filled the streets. Reporters swarmed the courthouse. Public opinion polls swung wildly as each new revelation surfaced. Even celebrities weighed in,
Mangione has become something of an internet celebrity.
adding fuel to an already raging fire. As the days passed, new details emerged. Mangione's manifesto included letters to politicians and corporate leaders, begging for reform before taking action. He had even donated to charities supporting healthcare reform. But it wasn't enough to stop him from crossing the line. By the end of the trial, Mangione's fate hung in the balance. Was he a hero who dared to stand up to corruption? Or was he a criminal who took justice into his own hands? The jury's decision would set a precedent, one that could echo for years to come. But one truth remained. Thompson was dead. Mangione's actions couldn't bring him back, and the nation was left to grapple with the consequences of one man's rebellion. As Mangione sat in his cell awaiting sentencing, the world outside kept turning. The headlines shifted, but the questions lingered. Could one act of violence spark change, or would it only lead to more bloodshed? Manhattan's streets may have returned to normal, but the shadows remembered. The case of Luigi Mangione wasn't just a crime, it was a mirror reflecting the fractures of society. This has been Mr. IQ. Subscribe for more stories that force you to question the truth. Because sometimes what's obvious hides something darker. Stay sharp, stay curious, and remember, the answers are out there, hiding in plain sight.